I tried to end the affair without making a scene. Thought I could wrap it up quietly. But that plan fell apart the moment my sweet, devoted husband walked in on what was supposed to be my final meetup with the other man. I'm selfish, at least that's what I whisper to myself every night when the house is dead quiet and the kids aren't around anymore. And honestly, my ex has every reason in the world to hate me. I tore our family apart. The guilt hasn't left me since. What I did back in 2015, when I was 39, was nothing short of selfish. I didn't just betray him. I took him completely for granted. He used to tell me I was beautiful every single day. He craved closeness, took care of me, treated me like a partner, not some fairy tale queen or princess. We were high school sweethearts, each other's one and only, together for 20 years. My whole family adored him. He even stood by my brother during the darkest times of his life. He was the guy everyone leaned on, the dependable one. A genuinely good man. And through the years, I gave him 4 kids, 2 strong boys, now 18 and 16, and our twin daughters, just 13. My body changed. I gained weight, felt self-conscious, but that never mattered to him. He kept calling me beautiful. We barely argued. And when we did, it usually circled back to intimacy. I just wasn't always in the mood. When I hit 39, I threw myself into yoga and Pilates. After a full year of hard work, I went from 180 pounds down to 135. For someone who always struggled with weight, it felt like a whole new version of me. My husband tried to join in. He trimmed down too, from 260 to 225. He was working on himself, and I could see the change. He was affectionate, more than ever. But still, I wasn't feeling it. We gave everything a shot, date nights, dancing, walks. He chipped in with chores. He looked at me like I was the only woman in the world. Most women would have killed for that kind of love after 2 decades. But me? My mind just wasn't there. I blamed it on early menopause, told myself that 2 or 3 times a month was enough. I was a once-and-done kind of person by then, and he wanted more. He even suggested couples therapy, but I shut that down. That's when my selfish side took over. A few days after my birthday, a new manager at work started showing interest. He was younger, just a little, and good-looking. For reasons I still don't fully understand, he focused in on me. At first, I kept my distance. Then I let a few casual conversations slide in. Then he started flirting. I held up my hand and showed him the wedding ring. But 2 months into it, after nonstop flirting, I gave in and flirted back. That led to me opening up, sharing pieces of my life. He was on my mind more and more. Looking back now, it was clearly an emotional affair. But at the time, it felt like a rush. Like being high. My husband knew something was off. One night, we had a blowout fight. I think it started when he tried to kiss me and I made a face. Not at him. Not really. I was lost in a daydream about the other guy, and when my husband leaned in, the whole moment just felt wrong. That's what I keep telling myself, anyway. About a week later, I met up with the manager at a cafe. I had every intention of ending things. I was going to tell him this couldn't go on. But before I could say anything, he kissed me. And everything went blank. That kiss lit the fuse on a 6-month-long affair. With him, I was different. I did things my husband always wanted, things I used to brush off. I was eager, ready, because it was all new and exciting. Even though my husband and I were still intimate during those months, it was rare. I started pushing him away, finding fault in every little thing he did. I even mocked him sometimes. I'm deeply ashamed of how I treated him. It wasn't until my brother came by that I snapped out of it. He told me my husband had confided in him, that he was feeling low, like I didn't love him anymore. Like our love was dying. That was a wake-up call. I ended the affair immediately, quit my job, and told myself I was going to fix this. I wanted my husband to feel loved again. I was ready to be the wife he deserved. But then, the other man showed up at our house. He brought a box of things from my office, stuff I had asked to be shipped. We talked. He wanted to understand what went wrong. I told him straight. I needed to save my marriage. Told him to go. But he begged for one last moment together. And stupidly, I gave in. We ended up in the guest room. I'm not even sure how long we were in there when he suddenly jerked back hard. Something had startled him. Then came a loud bang, and my husband was standing in the doorway. The other man hit the floor. There was a hole in the wall. My husband's eyes were red and glassy, his face soaked in tears, and his whole body trembling. He was completely shattered, and I felt sick with guilt. My affair partner got to his feet, trying to make a quick exit. My husband stared him down, and then the other guy made a mistake. He warned my husband to back off, like he was threatening him. That was it. My husband snapped. He lunged at him. I screamed, begged him to stop. I even jumped on his back, desperate to pull him off. He flung me off like I was nothing. I hit the floor hard. Things got blurry after that. I heard voices, but they were muffled, like I was underwater. When I came to, my husband had the guy on his side, talking to someone on the phone. I couldn't stop staring at the swollen mess that was the other man's face, at the blood and broken teeth on the floor. Then came another bang, this time on the door. My husband placed the phone on speaker, set it gently on the floor, then slowly got on his knees and put his hands behind his head. The door burst open. Cops rushed in, cuffed him, and paramedics took over. That's when I learned he had called the police himself. After that, everything unraveled fast. At the hospital, my father couldn't even look at me. My brother broke down, yelling, asking how I could do something so cruel to a man who loved me so deeply. My mother tried to comfort me, but my father lashed out at her too. His whole family was livid. His sisters didn't hold back. They made threats, and his parents looked at me like I was something they scraped off their shoe. When I tried reaching out to my kids, they wouldn't even speak to me. My sons couldn't meet my eyes. And the affair partner? His face was so badly damaged, doctors said he'd need reconstructive surgery. My ex had literally broken his face. While I was still in the hospital, a woman stormed into my room and came at me, fist flying. My brother had to pull her off. Turns out, she was the wife of the man I had the affair with. I didn't even know he was married. He never wore a ring, never mentioned a wife. That just made me feel even worse. As we got closer to the trial, things kept falling apart. My sons were living with their grandparents, my ex's parents. My daughters still refused to say a word to me. My ex didn't want to see me either. I tried to visit him while he was being held in county, but they turned me away. My brother pulled some strings and made sure my ex was transferred to the correctional facility where he worked, said he'd keep an eye on him. When I asked my brother to pass along a message to him, he looked at me with disgust and told me to go to hell. It wasn't until the trial that I finally saw my ex again. 3 months had passed. I'll never forget the way he looked at me. It was pure rage. After 2 decades of love, even through fights and stress, he had always looked at me with some kind of softness. But that day in court? That was pure hate. It shattered me. I had to excuse myself and cry in the bathroom. As the trial moved forward, I was forced to go over every shameful detail of my affair out loud, in a room full of strangers. I had to say how long it went on. The moment I did, my ex looked like someone had kicked him in the chest. My dad didn't even wait. He just stood up and walked out of the courtroom. When my ex testified, I found out something that gutted me all over again. He'd come home early that day to surprise me. He had packed lunch and planned a weekend getaway for the 2 of us, up in the Catskills. He was doing something thoughtful and romantic, and instead, he walked in on me with another man. He said he snapped when the guy told him to step back. He struck him, and the only reason he stopped was because he had to throw me off his back. Then he called special services. The recording was played in court. Hearing the pain in his voice, the sobs as he followed instructions, it was unbearable. The affair partner couldn't speak in court. He was too heavily medicated. Instead, they showed images of his injuries. I nearly threw up. Knowing I was the reason this happened, it crushed me. My ex had shattered the guy's eye socket, broken both cheekbones, and completely wrecked his jaw. Doctors said some of the bone fragments were too tiny to even put back together. The court hit my ex with a 3rd-degree felony. He was sentenced to 7 years. My son shouted in protest. The women in his family cried and wailed. It still echoes in my head. The first few months after everything happened were pure hell. The affair partner's wife sued me for alienation of affection. My ex filed for divorce. My oldest son moved out. The younger one shut himself off completely. My twins turned into rebels overnight. One of my ex's sisters physically attacked me at a price chopper. His mother spit in my face the one time I tried to apologize. My dad and brother cut me off. I ended up having to find a new job because I had no income left, and our savings were nearly drained. But with the scandal, I was basically blacklisted in my field. The accounting firm I worked for took a big PR hit, so I started working in retail and picking up seasonal work with H&R Block during tax season. We nearly lost the house. My ex refused to allow visits, and every letter I sent came back unopened. I cried in the shower so often it became part of my routine. The stress got so bad. My parents nearly separated. My mom kept trying to defend me, which just pushed my dad further away. My brother still wouldn't acknowledge I existed. Even lifelong friends started picking sides. There were days I seriously thought about disappearing, grabbing my things, and vanishing. The guilt was eating me alive. Eventually, I found a therapist, and the first thing she did was call me out. She said I'd grown too comfortable in the marriage, that I'd treated my husband like a friend with benefits. She wasn't wrong. I had taken him for granted. Almost a full year passed, and the silence from my kids was deafening. I'd make dinner, and they'd grab their plates and walk straight to their rooms. No eye contact, no small talk. I'd have meltdowns on my knees, begging them to say something. But they never did. My brother got married. My kids were invited. I wasn't. I kept trying to visit my ex, hoping maybe he'd finally put me on the approved visitor list. But every time, I was turned away. Letters kept coming back, unopened. My depression got worse. Then one day, completely out of the blue, my brother showed up. He didn't say hi or ask how I was doing. He just unloaded on me. Told me my ex had been stabbed while trying to stop an assault in prison. He took a blade to the stomach, and in the struggle, broke the attacker's spine. My brother was furious, screaming at me, "You did this." And he was right. I cried for days. I tried again to see my ex while he was in the infirmary, but it didn't matter, still denied. For the next 4 years, I kept trying letters, requests, anything, but none of it got through. The only small comfort I had was knowing that our kids still visited him regularly. My brother pulled strings and got him into protective custody after the attack. Our oldest went on to attend the same college, took the same major as his dad. He only talks to his siblings, never to me. He doesn't visit the house, not even for the holidays. He goes to the grandparents. Our second son did the same school, same silence. The twins were tough on me for a while, but they stayed close to their father. Weekly visits, sometimes more. And they started smiling again, at least with him. Anytime the twins got too out of line, their uncle was the one who stepped in. My brother and I still barely exchanged words. I tried visiting him and his wife when they had their first baby, but I was politely asked to leave. It was my mom who kept me updated about everything happening in their lives. My dad? He still acted like I didn't exist. Then, in early May this year, something happened. My kids started smiling again. Out of nowhere, my son moved back home. I didn't know the reason, and honestly, I didn't care. They were here, and that was enough for me. For 4 whole months, the house felt full again. I cooked, cleaned, did everything I could to show how sorry I was. Most days, they barely acknowledged me. But slowly, they started talking. It was like being given a second chance at life, just hearing them open up, telling me bits and pieces about what they were doing. My oldest had been seeing someone for over a year. My second son was running on his college's track team. Even my girls, my twins, started laughing and chatting with me again. Every smile, every shared dinner, brought me so much joy and so much guilt. Watching them joke around, hearing their laughter, it reminded me of what I threw away. By late August, I was excited for the girls. Senior year. Their 18th birthday was coming up, and I was all in on planning a celebration. But when I mentioned the party, they asked if we could pick another day. I didn't understand. I thought we were healing. So I asked why. One of them said, "Dad is throwing us a party, and I don't want you anywhere near him." The words hit me like a punch in the chest. I asked when their dad got out. That's when I found out he'd been released back in April for good behavior. They'd been spending more time around the house because of them. Not me. They were smiling again because their dad was back, not because we were reconnecting. I asked where he was staying, and they told me, with my brother. So I tried to call. I needed to talk to him, but he didn't answer. I went over there, clutching every letter I'd sent over the years, each one returned unopened. I caught a glimpse of him through the crack in the front door. I called his name, begged for a second. My brother stepped in and told me to leave. But as I walked back to my car, I heard his voice behind me. I turned, and there he was, walking toward me. My legs went weak. I broke down crying, rushed forward, and wrapped my arms around him. He didn't hug me back. He just handed me the stack of letters and said coldly, "You forgot these." Then he walked away. I stood there, sobbing, pleading with him, telling him I was sorry, that I needed to talk. But he never turned around. He went inside, shut the door behind him. My kids were standing there, looking at me like I was a stranger. There was no love in their eyes, just silence. That's when it hit me. They weren't back to rebuild things with me. They were just tolerating me. Still, I can't stop hoping. I wanted to know how sorry I am, how selfish I was. I want to tell him how much I miss him, that I ruined the best thing I ever had. So I keep moving forward, one day at a time. A while back, my mom told me something that stung. Apparently, my ex's affair partner's ex-wife, the one who attacked me in the hospital, had been visiting him. She started seeing him again about 2 years ago. And honestly, I don't care. I'm not jealous. I just want him to look at me again. Speak to me. Maybe even forgive me. I want to see my kids beside us again. I want my family back, even though I know I don't deserve it. Even if, by some miracle, we got back together, it could never be the same. I was selfish. I wrecked everything. And if I could take it all back, God, I would in a heartbeat. Second story, from the son's perspective. This is my response to my mom's post. I've worked hard to keep my past under wraps. Most of my college friends have no clue my dad went to prison. I don't bring it up. I don't want them to know. I've spent years trying to separate myself from all that. But then I heard people on campus talking about this story. The post. The one she shared. I didn't even need to dig too deep, just a few details and I knew. It was about us. It made my blood boil. I called her. The second she picked up and started crying, we got into it. That phone call turned into a full-blown argument. I was already mad, but then I went to see my dad and told him what happened. That didn't go well either. Still, I love my dad. I know he's not perfect, but he's a good man. And even when I was angry, he didn't trash her. He just told me not to forget to show her respect. You don't have to love her, he said, but she's still your mother. That's a tough pill to swallow. I mean, how do you respect someone who tore your family apart? My dad went through hell. He used to tell us how lucky we were, growing up in a place where no one would tear you down just for being smart. He told us about his life in the South Bronx, how trying to get ahead, trying to do white things like college, made you a target. His dad died of cancer when he was just 15. He had to step up and take care of his two sisters. There was no life insurance, no financial cushion. So he worked after school to help with rent and put food on the table. Eventually, his mom married a good man, and they moved upstate for a better shot at life. My uncle used to tell this story from the 90s, how my dad would wear his baggy jeans and that Puerto Rican flag t-shirt, and everyone used to mess with him. But one day, he stood up for himself. He didn't just fight back physically, he reached out, offered to skip school, split a 40-ounce, and talk things through. That moment earned him respect and a new friend. That friend later introduced him to my mom. They met in college. By the end of their freshman year, they were married. Growing up, my parents were inseparable. They were always holding hands, sneaking kisses in the kitchen, being goofy together. Even when everything was falling apart later on, my dad never treated my mom like a saint. He treated her like a human, flaws and all. But she broke him, and I'm still trying to figure out how to live with that. He always warned me, don't ever beg a woman to love you. Said if you do, she'll never truly respect you. That came from his dad and stepdad, passed down like an unspoken rule. Treat your wife like your equal, your best friend, your partner in everything. My dad? He was a big guy, 5'11", about 260 pounds, but he moved like a guy half his size. Always joking, always in motion. Despite his size, he had this lightness to him. I remember the way he'd sing to my mom, just because. He'd bring her flowers, write her little love notes, hide them in her purse or coat pocket. He always defended her, always told her how beautiful she was. That's the kind of love I thought all women deserved, the kind my dad gave. He never gave up on my uncle either, not when he hit rock bottom, not when everyone else walked away. Grandpa used to joke that Dad knocked the stupid out of him and left the man he was supposed to be. It still makes me smile thinking about that. My dad taught me what it means to be a man, to be a real friend, a loyal husband. Before everything fell apart, my mom loved him deeply. He was her rock. Their marriage looked like the dream. Then she destroyed it. I remember the shift. Those months where she started talking down to him, picking fights, acting distant. Dad stood his ground, but he held back. He kept trying, over and over. Despite his college degree, his work as a respected financial advisor, he could go from calm to firm real quick. Grandma said he was like his father, kind, patient, always willing to help. But if you pushed him too far, he'd remind you why you shouldn't. He kept trying. He bought her flowers, planned date nights, took her dancing. But she had already checked out. We all saw it, especially my brother and the twins. It hurt them more than anyone. Still, Dad kept smiling in front of us. Told us everything would work itself out. Thought Mom was just overwhelmed from work. Thought quitting her job would help. We all believed that. Then came the arrest. Mom, do you have any idea how humiliating that was? Everyone at school was talking about it. My father, in handcuffs, because you cheated. I couldn't even look at you. I packed a bag and went to Grandma's. Every time I saw your face, I felt sick. And Dad, when I finally saw him behind glass, he wouldn't even lift his head to meet my eyes. Said he failed as a husband, as a man. I told him he didn't. But he insisted. Said a real man thinks before doing something that could ruin everything. Said a real husband never lets things get so broken. But I knew the truth. He was broken because you betrayed him. You asked us for forgiveness, and for the first time in my life, I felt violent. You had the nerve to ask for peace while we were all shattered. That trial, sitting there, hearing that 25-minute recording of Dad crying, begging that operator for help, was the most painful experience of my life. 25 minutes of raw pain, where the man who would have died for you broke down because the woman he loved tore his world apart. You tried to take the stand as his character witness. We all begged you not to, but you went ahead anyway. And when they cross-examined you, when you had to admit how long the affair went on, that's when we truly lost him. Maybe if we'd had a better lawyer, someone not appointed by the court, he could have walked free. You don't know this, but I started having real anger issues. My brother turned to alcohol in secret. One of the twins? She was on the edge. And you didn't notice. You were too focused on fixing things with Dad, trying to put your guilt to rest. I was the one holding the family together. I had to become the parent. I went to college, worked full-time, sent money home to pay bills. You were depressed, yeah, and I get that. But don't pretend you were alone. You had help. You just didn't see it. Grandma defended you because you were her daughter, not because she believed in you. That's what the twins say. I think they're right. When Dad got stabbed in prison, I almost lost it. I had just seen him earlier that day. He was cracking jokes about the so-called prison workout plan. I was halfway back to school when the call came in. I nearly crashed the car. I couldn't think straight. That moment wrecked all of us. What I never told anyone is that I drove to the apartment of that man. I sat outside. I wanted to face him, scream at him, maybe worse. But then I saw him limping, walking with a cane. And I remembered what Dad told me once. So I drove away. Time moved on. Grandma passed. Then Grandpa, broken heart syndrome, they said. And Dad wasn't even allowed at the funeral. Did you know his sisters got married in the prison waiting area? Just so he could give them away? That's the kind of damage you left behind. And you made it worse every time you begged for forgiveness. You never gave us space to breathe. You didn't give us time. You just wanted the pain to stop for you. You wanted to feel better. But we were still bleeding. You kept acting like we should just flip a switch and pretend things were okay again. Yeah, you did start trying more in the later years. But not when it mattered. Not when the wounds were fresh. Not when we needed you most. When Dad got out, he told us it was time to start talking to you. Said you were still our mother. So we gave it a shot. And yeah, you seemed happy. For a while. Then the twins dropped the truth on you. That Dad was out. That he didn't want you to know. He got sick after seeing you. Literally threw up. Said just looking at you made him feel sick. And yeah, she's been visiting him. Every week. For 3 years. So stop holding on to this fantasy about getting back together. He sees you as the mother of his children. That's it. Nothing more. If you want to make amends, if you really want to start rebuilding something, call me. Stop posting about the worst chapter of our lives like it's your redemption arc. That post. It wasn't healing. It was selfish. You told the world your pain, but you never told the truth about ours.
Thank you for watching. Share your impressions in the comments. Have a great day.